Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Here in North Carolina, it's gotten pretty cold pretty quickly. So that reminded us that it was time for us to go out and check the antifreeze in some of our vehicles, our project vehicles, and some of the ones that we keep inside, and even the tractor and some four-wheelers and some other things. Um, so my son, he's never seen that done before, and he's getting at the age now where he's interested in it. And I thought it'd be a good idea for him to come along and me try to explain to him what we're doing and things of that nature. So then we also thought it was a good idea to bring you guys along and maybe we'll remind you to check your vehicles as well. Sometimes the ones that are inside are the ones that we really need to check on because we feel like that it's inside and it's not going to freeze and it'll be okay. But that's not always the case, because a thing called electrolysis is occurring inside your radiator and in your engine and your heater core and things of that nature. And what we want to do is check that and make sure that electrolysis isn't occurring at a rate that we're not happy with, or a rate that's faster than what's absolutely necessary. And you can do that in a couple of different ways. You can use test strips and check the pH. Obviously, the more acidic it is, the more that occurs, and the more it's eating away at the various parts inside your engine. Or you can use a voltmeter. I know you can probably spy the voltmeter there. You can use a digital voltometer and check voltage. And what we would be looking for is 4/10 of a volt at a maximum. Anything above that, we would need to address right away. In some vehicles I've seen 6, 7, 8/10 of volt, of 1.2 volts. That would definitely be a 3-alarm emergency and something we'd need to take care of right away. We hope that's not happening to this vehicle, but we're going to check and find out. This is another police car that we're going to be introducing you guys to in the near future here on the channel. So, but for right now, we're just going to kind of use it for a training aid for my son here for today. But we're going to check some other vehicles. It's probably not going to do a whole lot of good for you guys. I know car guys know what's going on, but for him, this is going to be hopefully a learning experience. And also for you guys, it probably give you a chance to get a sneak peek at some of the vehicles that we have here and some that are going to be showing up on the channel in the future. So with that, we're gonna get right into it and show you kind of how we do it. So on this particular car, we're gonna use also a antifreeze hydrometer. So you always want to make sure your radiator is cool to the touch. You don't ever want to open a hot radiator. So well, you need to make sure it's got antifreeze in it. So on these hydrometers, they have the freeze point and the boil over protection on one side and freeze on the other, and they have it in both Fahrenheit and Celsius. What we're concerned about today is freezing point and Fahrenheit. So all we're going to do is squeeze the ball and draw it up into it. It needs to be pretty full, Try to not spill a bunch of it. And flip it over on the freeze point side. And you can see here that this vehicle is good for about 35, between 20 and 35. I'd say probably about 30 degrees below zero. So I would call the freeze protection of this antifreeze to be good. But that doesn't necessarily mean that our anti-corrosion properties in this vehicle is good. So what we're going to do and how we're going to check that is we're going to use this voltmeter. We'll turn it on. We're going to function through to DC, and what we want is a range that will work for us, for our purposes. We're looking for less than a volt. We're trying to measure less than a volt. So I'd rather have the decimal point more towards the left side of your screen on your digital voltmeter. For Braxton's purposes here, it's sometimes easier to think about it like money. So you got your point here, and everything to the left of that you could consider whole dollars. They're your dollars. And everything to the right, we would call that your cents, your pennies. So you got pennies, and then you got split pennies, and then you're splitting the split pennies, so to speak. So it's just an easy way to look at it. So what we're looking at right now is, what we're looking for is less than a vote. Well, we hope it's going to be less than a vote. To be 4/10 as a max, right? So what we're going to do is use a jumper wire. I always like to use jumper wires for a couple of reasons, but this jumper wire is hooked to the negative battery cable. One of those things is, if you try to hold it like so, you'll see some people, they'll hold it and run a test like this. Well, the problem with that is when you're running a test in small voltages, like we are now, you'll get a false reading. If you can look right here, we're seeing 5/10 of a volt just coming from my body. And that would lead us to believe that the antifreeze is bad, because that's outside of our specifications that we're looking for. So it's best to use a jumper wire and attach the lead to your test probe so you don't have to touch it. And we're going to use the positive test probe that's hooked to the negative battery cable. And I know that seems a little backwards, but if you do it the other way around, you can use the negative, but you're just going to get a negative voltage here. So if you use the positive terminal and hook that to your negative ground, then take your negative probe and stick it in the liquid antifreeze in the radiator, and try to not touch the radiator and the other metal pieces in it. Just the liquid. Nothing will happen if we do, but we rather just touch the liquid. And you can see here we're reading about 1/10 of a volt, so that's actually pretty good. Yeah, 1300s. That's pretty good for this car. I'm gonna say this one to be good to go. So all you got to do then, put your radiator cap on, head to the next car. So this is a 74 Dodge Charger, and we're going to be introducing you guys to this car in a video coming up pretty soon. But we're going to still check this car. So obviously, first thing we'll do is make sure that the radiator's cold, and it is. We're going to do the same thing we did before. We're going to hook our positive test lead to a negative jumper wire that's going over to the negative battery cable. We're going to lay it somewhere where it won't touch anything. Hopefully it will stay hooked up. We'll lay it somewhere where it won't touch anything. We're going to go to volts DC. And then we're just going to put our probe in the antifreeze without touching anything, hopefully. And we see we've got about 22 hundredths of a volt. 22 hundredths is pretty good for this. As far as corrosion protection, that would indicate that the pH is maybe getting a little acidic, but not out of range, or not bad enough to cause us to have alarm. We're going to get our antifreeze hydrometer. We're going to draw some up in the radiator, just like we did before. And we're going to look at our freezing point, which you can see for this car is about 5 degrees above zero, which is not all that great, but this car does stay inside, and this car's got some work coming up we're going to do to it. So that's pretty good. It's not bad enough for us to be alarmed about right now. So that's pretty much it. We'll just put our radiator cap back on and move to the next car. We'll see you again in a second. You didn't think we'd forget about the Diplomat, did you? Make sure it's cold. This one's good. 35 degrees below zero. Can you see that? All right. Now we got to make sure electrolysis is not occurring. So again, positive. Hook to our ground. Bolts. Stick it in the liquid. So 0.165, that's really good. So we don't need to do any antifreeze changing to this car. Yep. So this car is good. Diesel Dodge truck. 02 model. Need to see what we got going on with it. The battery cable needs to be clean. That's the first thing I see. And hook our probe up like so. See if we can get our voltmeter stand up where we can have a look at it. Get into the radiator. Oh, this one's good. 45 below zero. Yeah, I hope we never have temperatures like that. Alright, let's see what we're doing as far as electrolysis. That's really good. Suspiciously good. She's good. Alright, well, that's all it is to it. '70 Plymouth Duster with a leaning tower of power. Alright, let's see what the leaning tower of power tells us. So we're going to check freezing point. So this one ain't doing so hot. She's at 0. We're going to have to probably address that. We'll hook our ground wire up, our jumper wire. Back to the positive. Let's see where we're at. That's actually pretty good, surprisingly enough. About 0.2 of a volt, so we're all right with that. Easy peasy. Off to the next one. Alright, so this. Alright, now we're here with a 1987 Dodge Ram Charger. We'll be seeing more of this on some future videos, we hope. It's actually a short clip of this on YouTube. We drove it on the beach, down at Carolina Beach. Alright, so we're hooked up to the ground again. We're going to do the same thing. positive to the ground on the volts. 3.3. That's kind of high, but it's within our expectations here. It's going to be time to change this one out pretty soon. Yeah, that's high right there. So let's see if it can protect us from freezing. So that's good, 35 below zero. Alright, told you I'd make it easy. On to the next one. Alright, this is an 81 3/4 ton Dodge truck. In the near future, we're going to rebuild a 727 transmission and put it in here. Hopefully, some of you guys will tune in for that. So, again, rinse and repeat. We're getting about 3/10 of a volt. That's pretty good. It's probably going to need to be flushed here for too long, but it's all right. Let's see if it'll keep us from freezing up. Oh yeah, 45 below. I'll take that. Easy enough. All right. If anybody can guess what kind of car this is. Get our jumper wires hooked up. Kind of loose. Hook to the positive. Go ahead and check this. So why are we jumping around like that? About 22 hundredths. That's pretty fair. We can live with that. Wow, that is, yeah, she's bad. You can hardly read it. That's 10 degrees above zero. That's, this one needs a flush. Come on now, we're way in the hell. I'm surprised it's not showing more voltage than that. What? That's all that there is, so it needs to be flushed. Off to the next one. Plymouth Trail Duster. Have you seen one of these? Got our ground hooked up. Volts DC. Don't touch the liquid. What are we reading here?
2.
So now I'm going to draw some up. So see how this one passed the electrolysis test but didn't do so good on the freezing point. The freezing point for this antifreeze is 0. So I would recommend probably going ahead and flushing this, or at least dumping out a gallon and adding a gallon of fresh. Easy peasy, on to the next one. Alright, so we have another car here. We're going to do the exact same thing. You're going to be seeing more of this car in the future as well. We have a few videos planned for this. Anybody able to guess what it is? So again, we got our negative jumper wire hooked up. We're going to hook it to the positive probe. And we're just going to dip it into the liquid antifreeze and see what we come up with. So about 2/10 of a volt. That's pretty good. Pretty happy with that. Now on our freezing point side, well, you got to get enough. So it looks like the antifreeze in this car is no good. We're at greater than 10 degrees. This car stays inside, so I'm not really worried about it freezing up, but the antifreeze has gotten weak, and so it's going to be time to flush and change this one out. All right. On to the next one. And now the tractor. So we're going to see if Braxton's been paying attention, see if he can do this one. Just squeeze it completely. It'll take your whole entire hand so you can get enough. What's your reading?
Negative 45.
45 below 0. Did he do all right? Look at there, I believe he did. All right, put it back in the radiator. Now what are you going to check for next? That's your voltmeter. That's your ground hooked to the positive, which is not normal, but for this operation it is. Now what are you going to do? What you reading?
1.
1, is that within the limits?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's good. So do we need to do anything to this?
Mm-mm.
Nope, so it's good. All right. All right, guys, we appreciate you stopping by and checking on us today and hanging out while we check some antifreeze on our project cars. We know that it's not the most exciting video in the world to do, but hopefully somebody out there got something out of it, and or if nothing else, maybe somebody remembered to go check theirs and jumped up off the couch and went outside and did it. I think my son got something out of it. I hope he did. But anyway, we appreciate you hanging out with us and hope you stop by and check on us again. Thank you.